Hi, this is Tom Chittum broadcasting from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Hang on a minute. This is medicinal marijuana for which I have a permit, so it's all perfectly legal. So don't be calling the gendarmes or calling in an airstrike or anything like that. Okay, now, about 2 weeks ago, I posted a video on YouTube about the unfolding situation in the Donbass, in which I asserted and explained why the Ukrainian army was one big, huge cooked goose. They didn't have a chance. They can't fight their way out. They can't get supplies in. They were surrounded on three sides. And that was about 2 weeks ago. And now, I want you to know that I'm not trying to promote myself as some great prophet. Everyone who knows anything about the military all over the world knew this was going on, but yet the Western media kept saying that the Ukrainians were blowing up 1,000 Russian tanks a day and shooting down Russian aircraft and all this bullshit, all the complete bullshit. Everyone knew it. And anybody who knows anything about the military knew it. Now, in the last 48 hours or so, the Western powers that be and the media have officially thrown the Ukraine and Zelensky under the bus. They're cutting the sucker off. They're throttling back on money, ammo, weapons, bullshit's a part of the media, you name it. Now, what are the immediate problems of the Ukrainian army in the Donbass area? I'm not talking up north where they were in the Kiev area or down south at Mariupol. I don't know much about what's going on there. I didn't pay much attention to it. But what I did watch with fascination was the situation in the Donbass where the bulk of the Ukrainian army was. I read lots of books about World War II. And that map there looked like every map I'd ever seen in a World War II book, just inviting the attacking forces, in this case the Russians, to pinch off that big bulge there and just surround the very cream of the crop of the Ukrainian military. That's always for you theorists out there. That's one of the major considerations of Mr. Van Clausewitz, the Kraut nitpicker, who says that should be the main goal, generally speaking, in any war. I don't know if it should be the main goal, but it certainly was. Not only was it a huge honeypot of the entire Ukrainian army, but it looked so damn easy on the map. I mean, it wasn't like they had to go charge it across 10,000 miles a step. Okay, 100 days later, they've not quite closed off the cauldron. The Ukrainian army, their immediate problems are their officers are fleeing. If they can, they jump in a military vehicle, a private vehicle, just take off, and so do lots of enlisted men too. Their officers are fleeing. They're not being sent any food. One Ukrainian unit posted a video complaining about how they were down to one potato a day. One potato a day. Can you imagine that? Opening your sea rations and one potato a day? Mm-mm. And of course, they have to bring the water too. They have to bring the water in. Just because they're in a farmer's field doesn't mean there's drinkable water around. There almost never is. You can't depend on it. So in most cases, they just have to haul in the water. And of course, there's none for bathing, just for drinking, if they're lucky. And what else? Ammo. Here's the interesting stats that just came out in the past few days. These stats originated, I believe, in the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, Drug Smuggling, and Arms Running. And they said that for every one artillery shell that they fire at the Russians far 40 back at them. So it's really a pretty much a losing game. And there's nothing really they can do about it. Because every time you see on TV that the Polacks are going to send them a dozen long-range cannons, so what? These things need a continuing supply of ammunition, and most of these weapons are, the instructions are in Polish. They got no ammunition to put in the damn things, or if they do, they got to pay for it. Yeah, and some of their allies are making the Ukrainians pay for stuff now. No more free goodies, boys. Let's see, what else immediate problems of the Ukrainians and that big cauldron, the Donbass cauldron. They're in these new secondary trenches in a lot of cases. The old primary trenches that the Russians drove them out of had overhead cover. Every time the Russians would throw in a bunch of third rounds, they would just run in the bunker, and an hour later they'd come out and things are back to normal. But not now. I've seen these new trenches. They were dug, they're fresh earth. They were dug about a week ago, and there's no overhead cover. There just isn't. They're just open trenches. Those things are death traps. This is an artillery war. Most of the killing has been done by artillery, and most of the artillery that does the killing is what they call airburst rounds for you non-military types out there. These things don't explode when they hit the ground. They explode up in the air about 30 feet in the air and spray shrapnel all over the place. So that means if you're just laying in a trench, it doesn't do you a bit of good. If I were a Ukrainian soldier, I would not lay in that trench. I would get out and run about 200 meters to the rear in a cornfield, hope my CO doesn't shoot me for attempted desertion. But I would not, under any circumstances, get in that damn trench. If you look at these dead bodies posted on the web of dead Ukrainians, plenty of them right in the trenches, just laying there dead as can be, not even in a fighting position. They were just cowering there from massive Russian bombardment. Of course, it didn't work. They were all slaughtered. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Soros, the snake lizard climax, blood-sucking alien Martian lizard predator, has officially thrown the Ukrainians under the bus. He says they'll have to give them a lot of land or whatever so that Russia will not be humiliated. This is the biggest bullshit I've heard since the beginning of the universe. The Russians aren't being humiliated. They're humiliating us, and everybody who's rational knows it. So what does he do? This is just bullshit for the idiots out there. He can say that he, Kissinger, gets credit for preserving the peace. Even the Russians get all sorts of territory and this and that and the other thing, because of some strategic mumbo jumbo, they're really defeated, which is bullshit. They won and they're continuing to win. And then they'll say, well, thanks to me, Henry Kissinger, the Russians were not humiliated and peace has been restored. Bullshit. It's just a surrender. And as for this Zelensky guy, I think he's got about 1 week to get out of town, or the Ukrainian generals are going to hang him by his heels like Mussolini. He better get out to London as fast as a chopper can take him. And, oh yeah, one last blah, blah, blah. There's one big difference between me and just about every guy who makes serious comments about the military situation in the Ukraine. For some reason, they tend to presume that the Ukrainians and Soros and Kissinger and the USA and the fellows in London want to seize Ukraine and all its goodies so they can keep the factories running and the corn growing and all this, and they can have a Ukrainian state under their heel, kind of like East Germany after World War II. But this is always an assumption. What you see the Americans do elsewhere, a lot of times they just purposely construct a vast free fire zone, a kind of Mad Max land like Syria used to be until the Russians came in. They created a huge Mad Max free fire zone full of banditos and mercenaries and bar sweeps and screwballs and do-gooders and religious fanatics and drug smugglers and you name it. a huge Port Royal, and that's what they want on a permanent basis. And I think that is very likely what they want in the Ukraine on a permanent basis. The entire region just south and southwest of Russia there turned into a huge Mad Max zone, which eventually will spread directly into Russia. Now, Russia's simply not going to accept that. They'll fight to the death like they did against Hitler. They just won't do it. They'll shoot every nuke they fucking got before they do that. So, as it is, technically speaking, right now, we, the Western powers, are on a absolute collision course with the Russians. We're playing chicken with them, like that, when two cars drive towards each other. Now, so far in every case, the West has backed down when Putin said, no, you don't do that. Every freaking time. And I think this is just it again, that Putin has collared a lot of these people and told them what's going to happen if they don't stop all these shenanigans. And, anyway, we'll see. I'll probably do another video mañana before I sign off. Okay, bye-bye.